What's up, y'all? Happy Money Monday on a Tuesday. See, I'm paying attention to the days of the week. I'm excited. I hope you all had a super duper fantastic July 4th celebration. Happy birthday, America. I'm really excited and pumped up for this conversation. How many of you would like to build your business in 1 hour a day, 60 minutes? Now, listen, I know some of you are going to say, well, I work my business 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. Even if you have more time than 60 minutes a day, you should still utilize what we're about to teach on with this power hour mentality. How many of you are already using a power hour to build your business, support your team, to focus on those money-making activities? Well, I'm going to tell you what, we did this training last year. So this is going to be an updated version. But we did this training last year with Brynn, and I think it was like one of the most viral conversations we have ever had. And I'm telling you, Brynn is going to bring the fire. She's been in this profession, not even for that long, but the amount of time she's been in the profession, she's built a 7-figure business. She's one of the best trainers I've ever met. And she understands what it takes to build a profitable network marketing business. How many of y'all drop some flame emojis in the comments if you want profits in your business? How about doubling, tripling, quadrupling your business? This is going to be a powerful conversation. And by the way, whenever we go live on Money Monday, it's always generic. So it doesn't matter what you're selling, what company you represent. In fact, let me know in the comments, what kind of products are you marketing? Don't say the name of the company. Well, what kind of products do you market? I'm just curious. And how long have you been in the profession? But I'm excited to introduce you all to Brynn. She's a ton of fun. We're going to bring the fire. She is she's very strategic, right? How many of us love people that are very step-by-step and they're systematic? That's Brynn Lang. I'm telling you right now, she has one of the best teams I've ever seen when it comes to consistent production. And you know, it's interesting. When I first got network marketing, my business was very much like up and down. We had a lot of good months, but a lot more bad months. I don't know how many of you can relate to that, where our business nowadays is very consistent. Like even during like the slower periods, or maybe during, the summer months, or, some of those periods of time where people are more distracted. How many of us know there's times in your business where people are more focused and there's times where people are more distracted, right? In our business, because we use systems and we're very strategic, we've been able to create consistency in our business. And then of course we have those really big pops, those really big months, but then we also have consistency on the slower months. So I'm excited for you to hear from Brynn. She is amazing. She's had a ton of success. And again, in this business, it's not about your personal success. It's all about helping other people. So smash that heart button if you love Brynn, and smash that heart button if you are ready to gain some knowledge today. Brynn Lang, what's up? I'm excited for you to bring the fire and Lang Bang. Our audience today. So we've got a lot of people from all over the world that are going to be tuning in live and watching the replays, that are marketing all different types of products inside the direct sales network marketing profession, as you know. So I'm excited for them to learn from you today.
Well, I'm super excited to be here. And you and Nadya are two of my favorite people on the planet. And how many of you want a really cool introduction like that? I'm sitting over here, it's counting down. I'm I want to be cool like this. This is awesome. What's up, guys? Give me some whoop whoops in the comments, because that's how I roll. I'm a whoop whooper. First, let me tell you guys a little bit about me. I'm super excited to be here. I've actually been in the industry now for only 7 years. And I was one of those people that you meet that you hate to talk to you about network marketing, because I was super skeptical. I was like, y'all are a bunch of crazy people. You're trying to take my money and you can't have my money. No, I ain't doing it. But they always say, the right person on the right day, which is why you should never be scared to ask people if they're open, take a look. Just happened to share something with me that literally opened my eyes for the first time. I remember him walking in so excited, and he was like, oh my gosh, I just bought socks today without checking my bank account. I was like, damn. Like that kind of hit me like a punch in the gut. I remember standing in Target a week before, staring at a pair of shoes for my kid and asking myself if I could make them stretch just another week because I wasn't getting paid. And so at the time I was a personal trainer. And so I heard him say that. I'm like, oh my gosh, how amazing would it be to not have to just put $5 in my gas tank or have to wait to buy a pair of shoes, you know? And so I started network marketing. Well, very quickly, I caught the vision of what it could be. And I went from wanting a small amount of extra money to actually really, truly wanting freedom for my family. Because at the time I was working from about 5 o'clock in the morning till about 7 o'clock at night as a personal trainer, dragging my kid with me to the gym every day. And it started to be more about freedom for me. But what happened over the years is what happens to a lot of network marketers is this became my just life. I was on three-way call after three-way call after three-way call from like literally all day. Every flat second that I had that wasn't at work, I was on this thing. And then at night, I was in other people's homes. I was in restaurants. I was in hotels on the weekends. I was traveling. I was going to this city and in this person's home and in this hotel. And 4 years of that, I realized that the freedom that I really wanted, I still didn't have. And it all came to a head for me personally one summer when my kid was home from school and I was walking around my house and I was on a three-way call, my probably fourth one of the day, and the lady wouldn't stop talking and she had 5 million questions and my phone's going off because I got all these people who want me and my kid keeps tapping me on the shoulder. He's like, look at my picture, mommy. And I finally just turned around and I snapped at him. I was like, stop bothering me. Your mommy's working. And y'all, when I say I had a life-changing moment, my kid fell on the floor, bawling, crying, and looked up at me and said, Mommy, you don't love me anymore. You never pay attention to me. And that was the moment that I decided that I either needed to learn how to do it differently or I was done with the industry. Because my family means everything to me. And they were my why for doing it, to have more time with them, and yet I had none. And so that was when I really dug in and learned how to be intentional and focused and learned how to use this thing smarter and not harder. And I'm super excited about this conversation today.
I love that you mentioned that, being intentional. And I was going to say something about that because that's really what it boils down to. Like, how many of us get caught in the scroll hole, right? It's like, I want to create TikToks, so let me do some research. And all of a sudden 3 hours goes by and yeah, you probably saved just some videos that you're going to utilize and duplicate for yourself. But then you're like, dude, I just spent 3 hours just watching TikTok and doing 0 income producing activities. I need to get intentional because freedom is what we sign up for. The problem is, and you know, it's funny that this would be a challenge, but for a lot of us, we start to get good at this thing and we become addicted to it.
Obsessed.
We become obsessed, yes. And it's not a bad thing to love it and be passionate about it, the products, the company that you're representing, your team, supporting people, helping people. But you got to remember why you got started. And you got to remember what matters most. It's all about priorities. And the priority for, I think, majority of the people watching, the majority of us that get involved in this profession, is to have the time freedom, to spend more time with our family. Like, what's the point of getting rich if you're working 24/7? What's the point of building a business that owns you? And I think all of us at some point have to realize that, you know what? Some of those messages you can respond to later. They're still going to be there, unread in your inbox. And I know this was hard for me because I'm one of those people, I want to respond to everything and do everything for everyone. But at some point you got to realize that, like, there are times where, and it's not just spending time with your family, it's also, you have to recharge your battery sometimes. Like when I can tell, so I've been doing this almost 20 years now. And I know, Brynn, you've been doing this, it's 6 or 7 years now.
7. Yep.
I cannot believe you've only been doing this 7 years. It's insane. But anyway, it took me 7 years just to create a full-time income in network marketing. So kudos to you. It's absolutely mind-boggling. You've only been doing this for 7 years. But I remember I got to the point where it was like, you know, because I had so much momentum, I started to get like, I'd be like feisty with people, or like people would ask me questions and I would be annoyed by the question because I'm like, I already talk about that all the time, or, I already tagged you in that, or I already gave you that information. But I noticed that it wasn't that that person was irritating me, is that I was irritable because I've been working, like you said, we used to have this mindset in the early years of network marketing prior to social media, building offline, we'd call it 8 to faint. 8 to faint. So you go from like 8 a.m. till you faint. And in theory, it's like work harder, do more, outwork the competition. And I do think you still have to have a work ethic, but it's an intentional work ethic and working, like you said, smarter, not harder. So I'm really excited for you to talk about this. And I know that this is something that a lot of us, even if we do have more time to put into our business, like I mentioned in the beginning, say you got 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day to put in your business. Let's say you're full time. You should still do this power hour. So Brynn, let's get into it. I'm super excited for everybody to be able to take notes on this conversation and get into the goods.
Well, it's funny that you said that too, because this is a conversation I've had with a lot of people too. I find that the more time that people have, the less they actually get done that is productive. I even got to check myself before I wreck myself, because I work from home. It's real easy for me to I'm just going to go work out for 3 hours today, or I'm going to go have lunch with my husband, or, I find that we often procrastinate when we have more time.
Right.
But the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that I learned when I first had this epiphany, I'm like, okay, I really got to get my itch together, was number one, I was not organized. Okay. Yeah. Like, I don't give a crap if you say you're not an organized person. I'm the furthest from agreeing you can possibly be, but there are certain things that you have to be organized on. And for me, learning how to organize my time was the most important thing that I could possibly learn. And really, at the end of the day, what you're going to have to do is develop new habits, because we're ruled by our habits. And most of us are ruled by really bad habits. Procrastination is one of them. By the way, if you are a snooze hitter when your alarm goes off, I want you to understand that everything you think, you say, and you do is creating pathways in your brain. And the more you do it, the deeper those pathways get. It's science. So when you are hitting that snooze button, do you understand what you are telling your brain? You're telling your brain that you're a procrastinator. So that's a big tip right there. If you're a snooze hitter, I would stop hitting that button and just develop the habit of getting up when your alarm goes off, because it's going to create a new habit. But the first thing that I learned that was really important was the law of diminishing intent. And I'm not sure if you've heard about it, drop it in the comment box. But I do understand that not everybody loves to work in the morning. But here's the issue. Okay. Most of us have really busy lives. Whether you have a full-time job, you've got kids, you're running them to sports. If you're a stay-at-home mom, that is a full-time job. Okay. Whatever it is, most of us live in these really busy lifestyles, and we can have great intentions to get the income producing activities done. We can say, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to talk to 10 new people today. I'm going to reach out and I'm going to ask 3 people if they're open to taking a look at my business and my products. I'm going to do so many referral posts, or I'm going to ATM so many people, and we can have these great intentions. But what happens is, if we don't get them done earlier in the day, the longer we wait, the less likely you're going to get it done. Like, how many of you will say you're going to go work out after work? How many of you actually go work out after work and have realized that if you're actually going to get your workout in, you probably need to do it before you go to work, or it's not going to happen. So it's the same thing with your business. I like to teach to get it done as early as possible, because you can have great intentions, but the longer you wait to act on those intentions, the less likely you're actually going to do your income producing activities. So the power hour is actually an hour of income producing activities. And if you don't know what those are, then let us give you a little bit of help here. Okay. So most of you are probably wasting a lot of time doing things that you don't really need to do. Like John was saying, scrolling on TikTok, looking for content. Okay. So one of the things that I have really dedicated and organized my time around is to make sure that on the weekends, when I have more time, I am actually setting my schedule for the week, and I am also creating my content for the week. So batch creating videos, or, writing out posts and taking extra photographs when I have extra time. And that way, throughout the week, I'm not spending a bunch of time getting on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok and trying to figure out what I'm going to post, because that, my friends, is the biggest time sucker that most people have. They're scrolling and they're scrolling and they're scrolling and they're scrolling and they're trying to figure out what they're going to post. And then 3 hours, like John says, 3 hours goes by and you still don't even know what you're going to post, right? So that hour is actually an hour of doing the intentional things, reaching out and starting conversations, asking people if they're open to taking a look at your products or your opportunity, asking people for referrals, following up, right? Putting people through your system. You shouldn't be doing anything else in that hour. It's an hour of focused and intentional work. I don't even respond to people in that hour. I am only doing my first reach out with the conversation or my question or asking for that referral or doing that follow-up, because I can do the other things, the answering back and the continuing the conversation in the nooks and crannies of my day. But if I don't actually sit down and start the conversations or ask the questions, the chances are I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of that done.
Right. No, it's so true. And it's amazing too, because you might get someone that responds and you're like, oh, I got one. And then you're spending like 45 minutes going back and forth. And yeah, they may join, they may not, but that was 45 minutes on one person. And that cuts into that, again, consistency. The reason your business is so consistent, and a lot of your top producers, your top earners have consistency because they all adopted that power hour mentality where it's like, hey, I sent out some messages. Yes, some people did respond right away, which is great. But I'm going to respond to their response after I'm done doing these IPAs, these income producing activities. I love that.
Yeah. And one thing that I like to teach is something called base numbers and stretch numbers. Because here's the thing, every day is going to be different. There are going to be days where you feel like your head is going to freaking fall off. Like, you've got 3 kids and they're all in different sports and you're running them around at different places and you got dentist appointments and you got a full-time job. And, my smoke alarm goes off pretty much every time I cook because I'm always trying to do something else like laundry or something while I'm also cooking. But, there are some days where I just don't have a lot of time to do my income producing activities, but I never want to have a no production day. So I like to teach people base numbers and stretch numbers because it actually keeps you consistent, which over time is going to make the compound effect happen. If you do small things every day, they will add up. The people who run and gun for like 2 or 3 days out of the month, and then they disappear off the face of the earth, they think they're getting a lot done, but they're not. And they're constantly burned out. And so they work really hard and then they work really hard and then they just disappear. So small things over time. So if you're going to have like a really hard day, I would just hit your base number. So what is a base number? A base number is a number in those income producing activities that is a really easy number to hit. Like you could do it with a blindfold on, your hands tied behind your back, and like 10 things flying at your head, right? Like, so you have your base numbers for your hard days where you don't have a lot of time to put in your business. And then on the days where you have a lot of time and you're feeling good and you're flying high and everybody's healthy and everything's great, you hit your stretch numbers, or you go for your stretch numbers, which are big numbers in your activity goals for your income producing activities. So if you just dedicate and commit yourself to never laying your head on your pillow at night until you have fallen somewhere between your base numbers and your stretch numbers, you will never have a no production day. And you won't ever hit that feeling of the guilt of not getting enough done. Because what most people do is if they go a few days without working, then they feel guilty that they didn't do it. And then it gets even harder for them to do it. And then it's harder for them to restart. But if you just do a little bit every day, you're much more likely to see success. There are some days that I only work an hour. There are some days where I work 8 hours. It just depends on what I have going on in my life at any given day, even when I'm on vacation. I simply just get up before my kid and my husband. I work for about an hour and then we go and we enjoy our life. So it's really about like being very intentional with making sure you're getting those income producing activities done with a focused mindset and not just trying to fly by the seat of your pants all day.
Right. And it's more appealing to your team, to the people you bring on board, the people you're attracting, because they're like, wow, like yeah, they're making money and they're building this incredible business, but it's the lifestyle that attracts people. And that's a big reason we started our personal brand 7 years ago, My Lifestyle Academy. It might be 8 years ago at this point now, because we were like, we did the whole like grind of like 8 to faint, 100 hours a week, maybe not 100 hours a week, but it felt like 100 hours a week. We were working our faces off and we were doing meetings and three-way calls, and we were constantly running and gunning, trying to replace all the people that were quitting, working our business 7 days a week. And it was just like, what are we doing all this for? What's the like one day you'll be rich. And it's like, yeah, by then it's like my kids will be grown and I'll sacrifice so much. And for what? To be rich? Like, I don't even know if I want to be rich, if this is what it takes to be rich. I'm like, why can't I have an and life? Like, I want to be wealthy and I want to go to my son's baseball games and, travel and have date night with my wife and put my kids to bed and, wake up when I'm done sleeping. Like, I want the lifestyle and I want to get wealthy. And I think, because of social media, because you just hit the nail on the head. You can wake up before your son, wake up before your husband, or just do a little bit in the early morning and then go enjoy the rest of your day. And you can do it like while you're laying in bed on your phone. And I know some of us, we got to have like the miracle morning. We wake up super early. We do our gratitude and all these other things and prayer and all that is great. But you can find an hour, maybe after that, maybe later in the day. I'm just like you, Brynn. Like, I want to get my most important activities done earlier in the day. But I think in the beginning, because a lot of us have jobs or we have full-time businesses, you're just gonna have to wake up earlier, or instead of, waking up and just going on to social media, checking out what everyone else is doing, focus on you. Like, I used to watch a lot of like ESPN as an example. And look, I still love sports. I'm a big sports fan. But at the end of the day, watching ESPN is watching other people live their dream.
That's good.
I want to get on the field. I want to go out there and make my dreams a reality, make my dreams come true, and help others do the same thing, which is the blessing of network marketing. Like, watching someone else hit a home run or score a touchdown or win a championship, whatever, like, good for them. Maybe I'll watch that later tonight when I'm chilling after a long day of grinding and hustling and doing the things I got to do to help produce results. And I think for those of you that are super busy and you got a lot going on, you got kids and different things, you're just going to have a conversation with your spouse, have a conversation with your kids, get them on board. And Brynn, what would you say to somebody that is, part-time, they're wanting to create that routine. They want to be a routine machine like you and create those habits. Like, do they set timers? Should they do it at the same time every day? Like, what is your answer for someone that is wanting to build this, but they got that busy schedule, just like a lot of us getting started, and they're trying to finagle it into their daily routine?
Well, I think it's all about, just like we talked about in the beginning, it's all about habits, right? We're as humans, we literally live we live by our habits, and most of us don't have very good ones, right? And so the first thing is aware. You have to be aware that you are not being efficient with your time. You say, okay, I really want to make this happen. Like, I want to be successful. Maybe I want to come home from a full-time job. Maybe I want to have more time for my family, whatever it is that you want. You have to be aware of the fact that you are not being very organized with your time. So having awareness is really important. Number one, I like to give people homework of actually going 3 days where they literally write down everything that they do. Like, I mean, when you sit on the potty, I want you to write it down, right? Like, I want you to realize where you are wasting so much time, because most of us waste a lot of time that is not elevating us. So for me, when I really—
You can make money while you go to the bathroom.
Yes, absolutely. But most people are just scrolling on social media, right? It's the truth. But so for me, when I got really clear, I said, okay, what are the things that matter to me most, and what is it that I really want? And so when I really looked at my life, the 4 things that mattered to me most were my faith, my family, my business, and my health. Those were the 4 things that mattered to me most. So when I started writing down everything that I was doing all day for 3 days, I started to ask myself, is this elevating me and growing me in those 4 areas? Because if it's not, I'm wasting time. So being aware of where you're wasting time is really important. The second thing, like John said, is having those conversations with the people around you. I highly recommend picking a specific time of day that you are working, having what I call business hours, even if it's a business hour, right? And letting your family know that this hour or these 4 hours or whatever amount of time you choose to work your business, that those hours are for your business. Now, when you have that conversation, you help associate it with a reward for them. Right? So if you have kids and you're a stay-at-home mom and you're trying to figure this out and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to do this? And they're running around and they're crazy. Say, okay, kids, for this hour, you get to sit and go play on your iPad, or you get to sit and read a book or whatever it is you want them to do. And if you will do this and let mommy have this time, then I'll take you to the park later, or I'll take you to the pool later. Or if you're going on like a 90-day run or something and you really have a big goal or something, you're saying, okay, I have this much amount of time that I have to sit down and work. When we hit this goal at the end of 90 days, we'll go to Disneyland or something that they can look forward to. Having the conversations and communication is key. And then the last thing I would say is not only having a specific time of day where you're working your hours, but having a specific spot that is your place, whether you have an office or not. Before I moved into our house now, by the way, I'm not in my office because my sister's asleep in there. They're visiting me from California. But normally when I'm working, I'm always in my office, because not only does it subconsciously tell my brain that it's time to focus and be intentional, but my family knows that when I'm in my office, that unless it's an emergency, don't bother me. Mommy's working, right? In my previous house, it was just a chair. Like I literally had a big comfy chair like this one in my living room. And it was like I had invisible walls around it. And if I was sitting in my chair and nobody else was allowed to sit in my chair, it was my office. But it was developing these habits of having a specific time, of having a specific spot. What it does is it gets your brain ready for you to actually be intentional with your work. And if you have the right conversations with your spouse and with your kids, and you let them know about that time and that spot, they are much more likely to be respectful of letting you have that intentional time of working.
Right. And that's what I was saying before. You're so good at that. Like the structure aspect is paramount. If you want to build a business, a profitable business, you got to treat it like a business. It ain't a hobby. How many of us want the comma checks, right? We want an MBA, a massive bank account. And I'm telling y'all got to follow Brynn Lang. In fact, the thing about Brynn too is she's also a coach. She's also got a generic training business. Like she has content for those of you that are in other companies. And I would recommend you. And actually, Brynn, do you have like a free resource, a download, a freemium of something for people that like they love this power hour, and maybe they're like, hey, I want to do a power hour with my team. Like maybe once a day, we all get together on Zoom and we do our power hours together, or once a week, and they just want like that breakdown of the referral posts. Popping question, those intentional IPAs that you talked about. Do you have something that they could download or print off?
I do. I actually have a power hour tracker, and it is free. And basically it walks you through your exact power hour. It helps you have a timer. So you're doing 15-minute segments of each of these income producing activities. So you don't just get stuck on one, right? Because we don't want to just get stuck creating conversations and not taking them anywhere. Right? We really want to always be inviting people. We always want to be asking them for referrals. We always want to be following up. So that tracker is at thebrynnlang.com/tracker. And it's fantastic. I sit down and I use it every single day. My team uses it. You can use it with your actual, your team in your power hours. You guys can walk through it together. It literally, you have little boxes that you can check. And one of the things that I love about my tracker that's so amazing is it also doesn't just focus on your business. I actually have a whole section on there that focuses on the important things in your life as well that a lot of us neglect, which puts us on the guilt cycle where we don't actually get intentional work done. So I actually have little boxes to check on there, like intentional time with your spouse, intentional time with your kids, because one of the biggest things that I've learned, and I actually, I heard Ed Milet talking about this too, which was really important. It was a podcast that he did about balance. Was I live my life in a way that everything is quality over quantity. You don't have to spend an exorbitant amount of time with your kids or with your spouse or doing certain things or working out. It's quality over quantity all the time. If I sit for 30 minutes to an hour, or just have conversation or help my kid with his homework, but he's getting intentional eye-to-eye contact with me instead of me sitting there like this and I'm talking to him at the same time. What we're telling them subconsciously is they're not important to us. Right. But if I'm intentional with that time spending with him, or that time with my husband, like we have family dinner time every night at 6:30, no phones, right? When we have that time together, they let me have my time to work because they got that intentional time with me and they don't feel like they're not important to me.
Yeah. I remember Grant Cardone talked about that one time. He's like, listen, my kids don't want to spend more than an hour a day with me. He's like, I drive them crazy. At some point, they're like, I'm done with you, Dad. Like, I want to go, play on the PlayStation, or I want to go, on my iPad or watch a movie, or I want to go outside. Like, he's like, eventually at some point, an hour or two, like, they're like, I'm done with you.
They're like, leave me alone.
Right.
Not even cool.
It's interesting because, we travel a lot for my son's baseball and stuff like that. And it's tough because, we don't want to like leave our daughter at home all the time. But, some of the tournaments, she comes with us and we make sure we do fun things. So it really is finding ways to be intentional. We have a swimming pool in our backyard now. So I might go out with the kids for an hour and go swimming, 2 hours, go swimming. We're outside. After that, man, it's like, they're done with me. Like, they're like, okay, got my time with Dad today. And you know what? Some days are busier. Some days I don't see him all day. So at night, we go out to dinner, or I watch, my daughter and I like watching, Disney Plus shows or movies, or, like we're all watching Loki together, so it's like, you have to find ways to incorporate what's most important. Like we talked about, it's all about priorities. And I said this in the beginning, but I know some of you got on late. It really is just understanding that it's like not a big deal if you don't respond to messages right away, especially like if Brynn sends me a message, I'm probably going to respond right away 7 days a week because it's Brynn. She's one of the top leaders within our organization. She's a partner. She's a friend. It's different. But if it's like a prospect on a Sunday afternoon, like I'll respond on Monday, and I'm telling you, even if they don't like necessarily acknowledge it and they go, wow, like he actually shuts it down on Sunday, but it's just like subconsciously, it's like, okay, it's Monday. It makes sense he's responding now versus, Sunday night, Saturday night, Friday night, Saturday morning, whatever. And I think it's also important to understand that, like, you know what, that business is still going to be there. Like, you're never going to respond to every message. You're never going to respond to every comment. You're never going to be able to follow up with enough people or talk to every customer. Like if you're, I actually get excited when my business is out of control and I can't keep up. When I start to freak out a little bit, I'm like, I've responded to like every message today. Like, what's happening?
Where is everybody?
I need to go prospect some humans. I need to ATM my face off. So a couple things. Number one, Brynn, first of all, your family's in town. Really appreciate you being available for everybody today. Really appreciate on a holiday week with family in town. That's awesome. The link is, I highlighted it. So for those of you that said, there's a lot of people like, what's the link? What's the link? What's the link? It's right there. Jessica Alexander. Thank you. TheBrynnLang.com/tracker. So y'all got that. You're good to go. I would highly recommend you also, like I mentioned, get your family on board. Brynn mentioned that as well. You'll notice your kids will start to hold you accountable. They'll be like, Mom,
yep.
Did you do your ATMs today? Dad, did you do your video today? Did you follow up with I want to go to Disney. You got to hit that goal. We got to go to Disney. Let's work together. And I do think it'd be cool for those of you that maybe don't have a team, get with some sideline brothers and sisters, connect with some upline, like see if maybe you can put something together. Even if you don't do it every day, do it once a week, because here's the thing, you have new people joining your team. And if they can see like, oh, this is what we focus on. These are the things on this tracker that we follow. And these are the things that are going to move the needle and help us earn some moolah in our business. Because I can tell you, when you start helping people create profits, like they're starting to make money at some point, by the way, they're not getting on the Zooms anymore. They got their own team Zooms. They're not reaching out to you asking what to do every day. They're not confused or overwhelmed anymore. They see the simplicity. It's just in that first 30, 60, 90 days. Like if you don't have training, you don't have structure, you don't have, a tracker, you don't have the things that they need to follow along. It's too random, and people can't succeed when it's random, when it's all over the place. So get the structure, find out what's most important in your business. Those IPAs, I think Brynn does a great job of going over that, but I know everybody's business is, there's nuances, there's things that are a little bit unique, and you can make it your own. You can figure out how it can work for your team. But I think this is powerful for those of you that really want to get focused, especially during the summer months, right? The dog days of summer. This is a perfect time to implement something like this so that people are wanting to spend more time with their kids. They're off school and they're getting out now that like the COVID thing isn't as hardcore, right? Businesses are open, masks aren't as required anymore. I just think you still want to make sure that you've got some structure in place for people to plug in. So Brynn, I appreciate you. I don't know if you had any closing thoughts before we wrap this up. I know you got family in town, but I do really appreciate you and your leadership and partnership and friendship and being on today.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. And I'm just thankful to be here and to talk about this because it really is like my favorite thing to talk about. I think it's the most important thing. The last thing I would just say is if you're on here today and you haven't been doing anything and you're going, oh my gosh, this is a lot. I just feel like I'm so far behind. Like I haven't been doing anything. It's the summertime. Just pick one thing. Pick one, like literally just do one activity. Just one for 3 days. And then if you feel good, keep doing that. Maybe add another one. But it's all about the small things over time. One of the biggest things I try to tell my team in the summertime is, hey, look, it's summer. Enjoy your family. Go on vacation. Like live your life. It's why we do this. But hey, just make sure you're doing at least one thing a day. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other every single day because that consistency over time is what's going to grow you.
It's funny. I used to always go to my job during the summer.
Yeah, I know, right? Instead of vacationing all over.
Yeah, I back in the day when I was living paycheck to paycheck, like I might not want to go, wait tables on the weekends because it's the summertime. It's nice out. And if I were to call in and say, I'm just not feeling it today. Like I've been working hard this week. I think I'm going to take this day off. They'd be like, you're fired. Like we were just going to replace you. Like, it's like I'm building someone else's dream, having to work through the summer months and having to work when I don't feel like it. Then we start our own business. And it's funny how like this can give you the total freedom you've always wanted and literally create legacy wealth. Like your children's children could be thanking you because you created a power hour, because you worked your face off in 2021 and beyond, and like reap the benefits for legacies to come. Like that is a crazy thing when you really think about what's on the table, what's possible. If you get committed, you get serious about your business. I know some of you lack belief, you lack the understanding, but all of that comes through the activity. Taking action was the number one way that I learned how to become a professional and build a legit business in this space. It wasn't just reading books and getting on. Like I could watch a video like this and be like, oh, that feels good. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's great tips. But at the end of the day, if I don't take action and implement, I ain't going nowhere. So again, Brynn, I appreciate y'all just got #LangBang today. All right. So Brynn, I appreciate the heck out of you. You're amazing. And I hope you have a great rest of your week and definitely appreciate you being available. All right, y'all.
You guys
Happy Monday on a Tuesday.
Bye.
Lisa.